All right, welcome. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Sorry, guys, for the late start. We have a lot to get into. The Philadelphia Eagles restructured Javon Hargrave, saving $9.4 million amongst all things. And the Kansas City Chiefs released two of their starting offensive tackles, and that is right tackle Mitchell Schwartz, and that is left tackle Eric Fisher. Now, just to touch on this real quick, obviously Mitchell Schwartz was having some back injury problems. Eric Fisher did tear his Achilles in the AFC Championship game, and so that explains that, which kind of led to Patrick Mahomes being completely discombobulated in the Super Bowl by not having any of his starting offensive linemen. But those two guys getting released is on top of the fact that they are not bringing back the starting center for Patrick Mahomes. So my guess is that Andy Reid is going to capitalize on the fact that there's going to be quite a few guys in free agency for the offensive line that they can go ahead and kick the tires on, bring in. But we definitely have a lot to get into. Patrick J is going to be live with us in a few minutes, so that's going to be good and groovy. And the other thing as well, the Eagles, after restructuring Javon Hargrave, and they saved $9.4 million by doing that. Another move that was not forecasted, guys. We're still waiting for the Brandon Graham restructure or renegotiation. We're still waiting for the Lane Johnson renegotiation. There might be a Brandon Brooks trade that's going to happen. Derek Barnett still needs to be addressed. The Eagles are in good shape, but after that $9.4 million saved, as of yesterday, they were down to like 26 mil. And so that brings them down to about 17 or something along those lines. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's definitely somewhere along those lines. I see that we got a couple guys already in here. So please leave your comments and your likes, or if you have any concerns, go ahead and let me know and we can certainly talk about it. Another thing that I want to get into, Patrick J and I are definitely going to continue to talk about free agency today. And Shaquille Griffin, cornerback from the Seattle Seahawks, is going to be definitely one of my talking points today because I still think he is a good guy that we could probably bring in for not a top dollar kind of guy. Dak is king. Welcome, my man. Happy Thursday. Eagles will be a good team, he says. Yeah, I think that we definitely will be a good team. I think Dak is going to be good. From all sources and all signs, Dak looks like he is moving in the right direction, doing everything right. So that is good news. Dak is king. They need to fill a lot of holes, though. Yeah, of course. There's a ton of holes, and I think the one that is kind of getting overlooked, and maybe not as overlooked as I kind of emphasize it to be, but that second running back spot is definitely one of those holes. We need a power runner. We need a guy that can take the tread off the tires off of Miles Sanders a little bit, and Miles Sanders needs to be used correctly. We need these guys to develop better, the wide receivers. And yesterday I talked about this a little bit. King, welcome, my man. King Miro and Dak is king. We've got two kings in the house, and Patrick J just joined. Patrick J, welcome to the stream, my man. Happy Thursday, dude.
What's up, my dudes?
So we're just answering some questions right now, and we're actually just kind of talking about wide receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles and how they need to develop a little bit better. And so, guys, Dak is king, and king. I want to address kind of what I touched on yesterday with you, Patrick, is the whole Jason Avant, Quentin Mickle thing. Dude, if you haven't checked that out yet, you do need to check it out because they just give you some fucking insight that was really unbelievable. Like the way that Jalen Reagor injured his thumb because he ran a route inside as opposed to running a route outside. Just really cool insider shit. And really talks about the development of Travis Fulgham, what he's able to do in that J.J. Whiteside's not able to do, things like that. So yeah, we need these guys to be able to develop better. Patrick, I briefly touched on at the beginning of this podcast, Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher just got released from the Kansas City Chiefs. I understand it was It was two moves to save cap room, but that's now 3 starting offensive linemen for the Kansas City Chiefs. It seems like Andy Reid is going to try and capitalize on all these offensive linemen that are going to hit free agency and possibly a strong offensive line draft. Talk about it, bud. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean it was a stunner. I mean, I honestly didn't see it coming. I mean, I kind of expected one perhaps just because of the cap casualty, but I didn't expect both these guys to be out. I mean, you're talking about 2 starting offensive tackles in a Super Bowl caliber team, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what they do, but that's definitely a big loss for Patrick Mahomes and rest of the guys there because Eric Fisher. I mean, ever since he got in the league as a number 1 overall pick, he's held that position down. I mean, he got to the Pro Bowl last year too, and then I mean, they will save upwards of $18 million towards cap. So I mean, I'm sure they got plans in place, but I mean, those are 2 big pieces they're losing right there.
I agree. No, I agree. And the big thing is this. I mean, obviously I understand why it happened. They're both in their 30s. Look, I think it was Mitchell Schwartz was having the back problems. And then Eric Fisher tore his Achilles in the AFC Championship game. Huge cap hits for both. Not like ginormous, like these aren't giants from the land of Nephilim, but like or Nephilim or whatever. But like you know, I get it. I understand why Andy's doing it, and Andy has always done this. And so it's just kind of one of those things where you know, if the time is right, then the time is right, and you just kind of gotta make the tough decisions and cut your losses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like I'm sure all these NFL teams are not stupid. I'm sure they have everything in place, you know, and I'm sure like each team know more than what we do out here. So I mean, those guys have medical records for both these guys, so maybe the injuries are a little bit more of a concern than what's expected at this point. Like I said, they are getting in the upwards of the 30s, so I mean, maybe they just need a fresh start. Maybe they just have different plans in place. But I mean, that they do need it to save some money, and they definitely did that with this. But I mean, it doesn't take away from how important those 2 guys were, not just in the offensive line, but as a leaders of those teams. You know, like Eric Fisher, especially, he's always been one of those guys that had the Chiefs locker room in place. And then Schwartz too, ever since he came over in 2016, I believe he's definitely commanded some respect. But I mean, Andy Reid, like I said, he's one of the better coaches out there, one of the best to ever do it. So I'm sure he'll be able to recoup and regroup, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah, no. Of course. I want to touch on, speaking now that we're on the offensive line, I want to talk about something real quick. You know, Adam Kaplan was on Inside the Birds, as we kind of all know, with Jeff Mosher. They have that podcast. You know, over and over again, they talk about the Eagles having a top 5 offensive line with this trio as long as they're healthy. And obviously we can kind of forecast who that trio is, right? It's Jason Kelce, it's Brandon Brooks, it's Lane Johnson, as long as they stay healthy. And my thing is like, I don't mean to get aggravated, but like, I am so fucking tired of hearing that, because the immediate question is this, Patrick. It's like, based on what? Based on what happened 2-3 years ago? Brandon Brooks has been having injury problems for the last 2 years. Lane Johnson has been having injury problems for the last 2 years. There's only one man who has been an absolute fucking like blue collar stalwart, and that is Jason Kelce. Like, the dude doesn't come off the field. I don't care if it's like a fucking broken arm. I don't fucking care what it is. He just doesn't come off the field. Like, based on what? Like, here's the thing. Eagles drafted Jack Driscoll, 5th round last year. And despite giving up 50 sacks to Carson Wentz, the Eagles had a win rate for their pass protection at 12th. They still had the 12th best win rate. And it was like 6th best win rate in run blocking. So it doesn't go. So I don't want to hear any more about this fucking trio. Sorry, I'm on a rant now. I don't want to hear any more about that fucking trio. What I want to hear is give continued kudos to our offensive line coach, because we all know he's an amazing offensive line coach. And if he can do that And if we can do that with the carousel that was our offensive line last year, then he can do even better with the guys like Jack Driscoll coming back, with the guys like Jordan Mailata progressing. Like, I don't want to, like, no, these guys, like, stop. I don't want these guys healthy coming back. Brandon Brooks, like, love him to death, but like, if he gets traded, he gets traded, guys. Like, I'm not worried about it. But I do want to talk about this too. Let's go ahead and move on to this. And this goes to King Miro, what King Miro said. The Gravedigger saved us more money. Harry Roseman. Patrick, how surprised were you when I shot you a message off air saying that another non-forecasted move in Javon Hargrave renegotiated, saved us $9.4 million. Like, it is insane what he's doing. He's finding ways, and he's doing it quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's exactly what you predicted. You know, like I surprised because it wasn't a name that we were thinking of course. But like, am I surprised that they did it? No. I mean, like, Howie's not stupid. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a smart man. He's been doing this for a long time. I'm sure he had plans how to do this, and he's been having conversation off with these guys regarding these contract restructuring probably for months before, you know. So like, yeah, it's a surprising name, but I mean, like, you know, he did what he had to do, and I'm sure he's going to do a couple more of these. Because at the end of the day, what Eagles really need to do is just get to zero. I mean, that's a start, you know, and then he's definitely well on his way to doing that. And then I'm excited to see what he does, but I mean, I don't foresee anything different coming in the next couple of weeks. I mean, he's going to continue to chip away, and then, you know, like, hopefully they'll have some cap space so they can go after some of these guys out there. This year's free agency is pretty deep in a lot of like role players, and then some positional needs for the Eagles too. I mean, there's a lot of depth in offensive line, like you were mentioning. There's a lot of depth in running back room. There's a lot of cornerbacks out there, and then wide receivers too. So I mean, they'll get there, and I just want to see how much money they can actually get out of it. You know.
Yeah, no. It's definitely one of those things. It's exciting. Because Brandon Graham, I mean, that was one of those ones that we kind of forgot to mention yesterday, and that was one of those ones that those contracts started like a week and a half ago, because he mentioned, and probably well before then, but like, it was reported a week and a half ago. But he's one of those guys that we just don't want to get rid of. He's one of those guys that have a high cap hit. He's one of those guys that, like, you know, he's a leader, and like, he bleeds green, and like, just don't see him going anywhere else. And like, the trade value, you know, the trade value or the cut value, like, it doesn't save us a lot of money. So you might as well extend him 2 years or 3 and save a lot more than you would if you did it any other way. Let's talk about some of the other cornerbacks in this free agency though, because I certainly want to. One guy specifically that I actually meant to talk about yesterday was cornerback Shaquille Griffin from the Seattle Seahawks. You know, he's had an up and down career with Seattle, but he's not a guy you should sleep on. You know, talk a little bit about what you feel about Shaquille Griffin, and what do you think he could bring to any team that decides to sign him?
Yeah, I mean, Shaquille Griffin is one of those guys that's, you know, like, he's got all the talent in the world. I mean, I feel like we talk about the guys with a lot of talents, but I mean, I was actually kind of surprised that the Seahawks didn't tag him. I mean, he's definitely, I think I have him as like my top or the second highest ranked cornerback. So he's going to definitely cost a pretty penny. He's been pretty durable this last year when he only played 12 games. I mean, that was the least amount of games that he's played since he got in the league in 2017. He's always making plays. I mean, even this season when Seahawks had one of the worst defenses out there, he didn't have a whole lot of help. He was pretty much out there running around by himself. I mean, he still had 3 picks. So he can definitely get up there and get the ball. I mean, and then last year, you have to remember, he was only a Pro Bowler last year. He's a 25-year-old being a free agent. I mean, he's going to be an expensive guy, but he's just getting into his prime. So whatever team that signs him, he's going to definitely bring a lot to the table. Cost-wise, I mean, being one of the top cornerbacks out there and at a positional needs for a lot of teams, he's going to be a little bit expensive though.
Yeah, no, and he might be a little bit expensive. I see him as one of those guys who kind of falls in just like as a second tier as far as salaries, free agency salaries are concerned. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But like, I don't see. It's not like Byron Jones, right? It's not like Byron Jones from last year, or
No, I mean it's a little bit different. It's just the reason why I think he's going to be expensive is any free agency, whether you're deep in position or not. I mean, this year they're pretty deep in cornerbacks that are available. There are tiers, and the Shaquille Griffin definitely is in that top tier. I think the top tier in this free agency is Griffin and William Jackson. I think those are the top two guys that you have available, and then when you get into the second level, you have some of the all pros that are kind of aging, like Richard Sherman's of the world and Patrick Peterson's of the world. So, I mean, I feel like he's going to get some good money out of him, just because he's got the youth and everything on his side. I mean, because you're talking about Sherman, who's going into like his age 33 season. Patrick Peterson, I believe, is about to be 32. So, he's not going to be as expensive as all the other guys last year, but just because he's one of the top guys out there, he's for sure going to cost a little bit of money. And then it depends on, some teams might like to take flyers on a little cheaper guy. I mean, AJ from Denver is available. Mike Hinton's available. There's a lot of cornerbacks out there too. So the guy from Dallas, Auzi, I believe, he's also available. There's a lot of
Chidobe Awuzie.
Yeah, Ronald Darby from Washington. There's just a lot of guys that we can just name off. So there's a lot of supply, but there will also be a lot of demand as well. So
Ronald Darby can go eat a loaf of tree bark. Actually, speaking of teams in the NFC East, I kind of want to transition because I let this one fly under the radar for me, and I kind of want to talk about it. Dan Quinn is the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys this year. Is that right?
That is correct.
And I want to talk about the potential of what he could bring to that Dallas Cowboys defense. The Dallas Cowboys defense, obviously, they have players like Leighton Vander Esch. They have. I mean, their personnel is like insane all across the board. There's no reason why they cannot perform at a higher level. So, what do you think Dan Quinn can bring to that defense? And because we know Dan Quinn well, right, from his days in Seattle.
Yeah.
And his day and I mean, he didn't have the best. He didn't have the best showcase in Atlanta, but we know what he's done as a defensive coordinator in Seattle. So do Eagles fans and the rest of the NFC East, or any team in the NFC, have reasons to worry, outside of the fact, obviously, that Dak is coming back? But do they have reasons to worry about Dan Quinn's impression on that defense with the Leighton Vander Esch's of the world, and who's the other dude that I cannot remember? The Jalen, who's the other linebacker?
Jalen Smith. Who are you talking about?
Jalen Smith. There you go. Yeah. And that entire defense and the defensive line. The entire defensive line is pretty. That entire defense is riddled with. And Dak is king. Says Dan Quinn is going to bring it this year. Yeah, of course you're going to say that. Your name's Dak is king. Of course you're going to say that. Well, that's exactly my point. I'm a little worried Dak is king. So, Patrick, can you get your 2 cents on this, please?
I mean, that's funny. So here's the thing. Dan Quinn, he was a great coordinator that led him to his job with the Falcons, and then like he did have some successful run there. I mean, but towards the end of it, obviously it seemed like he did lose the locker room, and then we were a little concerned about it. But some coaches are better off as a coordinator, and I think Dan Quinn is one of those guys that's like, at this point in his career, he's better off as a coordinator, where he can really focus on his craft, which is his defense. Dan Quinn's gonna go ahead and reinstall his 4-3 defense that he's really familiar with, and then the Cowboys do have the personnel to be able to do that. They do have quite a bit of question marks as far as free agents are concerned, whether they're coming back or not, or if they're able to bring any new pieces in. But they do have all the right guys in place right now to be able to run that 4-3 defense that Dan Quinn's really good at. I mean, they do have DeMarcus Lawrence and then Alden Smith that we're talking about in the edge rushers. Jalen Smith, we're talking about Sean Lee still a great linebacker. Leighton Vander Esch is also a great linebacker. And they do have a decent secondary with Lewis, Wilson, Woods, and Diggs. But, I mean, they do need to bring a couple more pieces back there. But Dan Quinn's going to bring that, ferocity back in there. Maybe we'll see. I mean, I don't know how it compares to Wade Phillips because, I mean, Wade Phillips is one of the better defensive coordinators out there, when the Cowboys used to run him out there. But, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Dan Quinn does.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. And King says Dan Quinn. King Miro says Dan Quinn is garbage. Dan Quinn was garbage as a head coach. Dan Quinn was phenomenal with the Seattle Seahawks and with the personnel and the Atlanta Falcons. Their defense didn't really change from pre Dan Quinn to post Dan Quinn, or post hire Dan Quinn. So I don't necessarily think it was. I don't think it was necessarily Dan Quinn. I think if Dan Quinn has the personnel, just to King Miro's point, he can be a guy to worry about. He can be one of those coordinators to worry about. And Jalen Smith has always been a linebacker to worry about with his speed. Leighton Vander Esch is another guy. I mean, those two linebackers together on the field at the same time. Leighton Vander Esch has been marred by injuries over the last year. Those guys on the field at the same time are caused pause, reasons to worry, eggshells on the floor type of deal. So it's worth noting. It's definitely worth noting. But it's going to be interesting. I expect, honestly, dude, just to wrap up this specific topic, I expect each team in the NFC East to perform a little bit better than especially that they did this past season, because it was just absolutely a cupcake division. And the Giants are getting Saquon Barkley back. The Washington football team, the Washington no names have a lot to look forward to, and a lot of promise. The Dallas Cowboys are getting Dak back. They're getting Leighton Vander Esch back. They're getting Dan Quinn as defensive coordinator, and the Eagles are. The Eagles are getting Jalen Hurts. The Eagles are infusing life into the quarterback position.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, man. NFC East was so bad this last season. There's no way but up, And then, like you said, there are optimism for all these teams. And I totally think there's going to be a surprise team out of the four that's going to come out there and really compete amongst the best of the NFC. I hope, at least. I mean, the Eagles, I see a lot of potential in them, but it really is dependent on what kind of moves they make to support Jalen Hurts and how they're going to go about fixing their defense.
I think it's that, and I think it's contingent on just Jalen, how well Jalen, he's doing, all the shit that he's doing right now, it points to him blowing up. It points that way because he's doing everything right. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's pointing that way. Nothing is in his way right now that he hasn't been able to overcome. But
we'll see. With the new coaching staff coming in, it's exciting, but at the same time, it's a lot of unknown. So
it's riddled with potential. The entire team. Eagles have interest in Marlon Mack, says King Miro. Maybe. I would love to bring Marlon Mack. Yeah. I would love to bring Marlon Mack in. I kind of just to talk on that a little bit. I would like to bring in somebody who's a little bit more dedicated to the power run game. But I know he's got that in his arsenal. But not a bad option there. Might be a little bit of a cheap option to. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, he's a good option. He's when I was thinking about the Eagles past couple of weeks, I a lot of the free agents that I had tied to the Eagles happen to have a lot of Colts tied just because Nick Sirianni coming over. Yeah, he does have a lot of experience playing for him. I read up on it. Sirianni absolutely loved having Max, so I wouldn't be surprised having him come over. He eclipsed to 1,000 rushing yards in 2019, and he was close last year. I think he was around 900 yards or so before he tore his Achilles. So he's gonna be a good option. I mean, like he could have had more roles if it wasn't for Jonathan Taylor just blowing up last year too. But he's not much of a receiving threat though. So I mean, he can be more of a depth guy more so than anything. And then I think he's a good number 2 back behind Miles Sanders. If you were to ask me, he can be one of those guys that can just come in for a goal line or like just as a blocking back. Like I said, the only concern about him is he's not much of a receiver, like I said, which is what you want from your secondary back. But he's not at all a bad option to have as your secondary back, though.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. They should resign Jordan Howard is what they should do.
Yeah, he kind of fell off the planet with the Dolphins last year.
Yeah, well, we brought him back.
Yeah.
And they just didn't know what to do. They just didn't. They weren't doing anything right. Like it's like, why didn't you sign him right away? They put him on the practice squad and then had him wait like 3 weeks, and then like elevated Elijah Holyfield before they elevated Jordan Howard. Like it made no sense what they were doing, but it's fine. It's over with. Like it's done. That's what I was gonna say is he tore his Achilles last year. Okay, so there's only so many Indianapolis Colts with torn Achilles that I want to go after, and there's only one specifically, and that's Malik Hooker, as we talked about yesterday. So for anybody who's listening right now, I only want one guy with a torn Achilles. I don't want multiple guys with torn Achilles.
No,
sorry, we don't actually have, none of these guys actually have Achilles' blood. Or Achilles blood in their bloodline, so you know. I'm just kidding. Dak is King says, haha, Seahawks might blow it up. It'll be 49ers and Cards. Rams have no cap space.
Talking about NFC West all of a sudden.
Well, these guys, we gotta follow these guys. We gotta follow what they gotta say. Seahawks might blow it up.
I can't see the comment. So.
I know that's weird that you can't see the comment.
Yeah. Anyways, NFC West. I mean, it's funny because we're talking about NFC East, which had a terrible season last year, and the NFC West, it seems like they're just stacked, but. Everybody, man, like the Seahawks might blow it up. Like they said, if Russell's gone, that team's just nothing. You know, they got no defense out there. The Niners might blow it up. You know, they're thinking about getting rid of Garoppolo, and they might draft a new quarterback here. Rams just got this exciting new quarterback, Matthew Stafford, and they still got a good team, but they got no cap space. So we'll see how this division goes.
You know, I want to talk about the Rams' decision to trade for Matthew Stafford and get rid of Jared Goff, just for a second. Now, I'm not trying to take personal shots. It seems like I say that just habitually before I start to theorize. Like, okay, so he's the youngest head coach in the NFL, Sean McVay. Do you think the dude got impatient and showed a little signs of immaturity when it came to Jared Goff?
Yes and no. I mean, it was, as you know, I'm most familiar with NFC West just because I watched literally every single game that they're involved in. But
yeah,
you could see a fall off with Jared Goff. You know, like I've discussed this with you before. I've always thought Carson Wentz was a better quarterback between him and Jared Goff. Jared Goff did definitely show a lot of promise with the Rams early on, but he just couldn't replicate his success that he had in 2018 when McVay was like really coming into his own. 2019 was a rough season for him, and then last season was even worse. I mean, so that's a decent sample size for him. And then like when when you have an ability to bring in a talent like Matthew Stafford, who is one of the better quarterbacks that's ever played in this past decade, in my opinion, to this team, which still has a lot of talent. I mean, and then to get off the contract of Jared Goff, if you believe that this is a better bet, then it's a good gamble to take. But we'll see. But at the same time, like, yeah, I mean, going back to the cap space, I mean, you have Matthew Stafford now, but what are you going to do as far as like building the rest of your team's concerned? So we'll see what they do, but I don't necessarily think it was like too soon. If that's just what the Rams decided to do, I mean, then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad move. It's not a bad move. I mean, he's got a lot of years left in him. He's still a good quarterback. It's
young guy, yeah.
It's 5 first-round picks is the problem in the last like 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is.
Rams have no pick at all.
I know. And it's that too that goes along with my point, but who am I to talk? I'll trade picks. Like trading, Jolly Ranchers to a kid with the coolest Pokemon card when I was like in 6th grade. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm like begging the Jets to trade their picks, man. I'm like, let's get some stars in here.
So King Miro says, alert, the Seattle Seahawks trade DK Metcalf to the Philadelphia Eagles. I wish. Crying, laughing face. King Miro so desperately wants DK Metcalf. I mean, we all do.
We all do. Every team wants DK Metcalf.
It's not just Eagles fans, man.
Yeah, we all do.
I wish. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter what happens to Russell Wilson. DK Metcalf is not going anywhere.
You know what's crazy is DK Metcalf is probably. I mean, he's still young. He just came into the league, but he's still. With everything that he's done already, I still don't think he's in the top 5 receivers out there in NFL, dude.
Well, there's Nuke, right?
Yeah, there's Nuke. There's Devante Adams. You have to put Allen Robinson now with everything he's done, right?
I don't know about that.
Dude, you got to put Allen Robinson out there.
I don't know. See, I was having a conversation about this the other day. Is like Allen Robinson needs to do it more consistently.
He's done it more than DK, I believe, so I think he deserves to be up there. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Because I mean, like, how would you see? Julio Jones is not in top 5 anymore, but I feel like Calvin really deserves an option up there too. Stephon Diggs, he's had an amazing season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Yeah, no, it's a shame. It's a shame because who was it before? Right? It was Julio.
Right.
It was AJ Green.
Yeah, it was AJ Green.
A solid 6 years, dude. It was like Julio Jones and AJ Green, and then there was no conversation. It was those guys, and now it's like defenders aren't even scared of those guys anymore. I'm not scared of those guys watching my team go up against those guys anymore.
Yeah.
But I am and the same can be said for Odell. I don't worry about Odell. The one thing I'll say about I want to say this about Devante Adams because I was listening to John McMullen, who's a Philadelphia Eagles insider, and it was an interesting take on Devante Adams and what he does in Green Bay is perfect because he's another off book improviser guy. And so like a lot of and actually it was also Jason Avant brought this up too. A lot of offensive coordinators wouldn't have the patience for that. It's like, no, dude, you're going to run what I want to run because we don't have time for all that. And so it's like, I wonder if Devante Adams would do as well in other schemes. Like, it's not like, so it's that too. It's like, do you in your quest for the top 5 or the top 10, like, is that a factor that you consider?
Oh yeah. You have to consider all that. And then you consider like your signal caller too, like, I mean, wide receivers sometimes you're just only good as what your quarterbacks give you at the same time. But I mean, Here's the thing.
Hold on one second. Big Play Slay, what's up, my man? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for subscribing. All right, Patrick, go ahead.
No,
I've heard of Big Play Slay before. He subscribes to Philly 500's channel. I'm a huge fan of Philly 500. Phenomenal YouTuber. But yeah, I want to hear your take on Devante Adams and what you think.
He's still a bona fide top receiver out there. You know, he's definitely a top 5 guy out there. I mean, that's the thing. The receivers have to have a good quarterback play. The receivers have to have a good, schemes just like any other players out there. But I think Devante Adams is one of those generational guys. Sometimes these guys have different quirks and whatnot. So I mean, he deserves a little leeway, in my opinion. And then, I mean, for the Eagles, I wish you guys had someone like Devante Adams, and then we'll make it work, So
you can't. Okay, so here's the thing: you can't come on here and say stuff like that because we wish that we had Devante Adams on our fucking team.
I get it.
Well, that's funny. I'm just kidding.
And it's a good year as long as we clear up your cap space like they've been doing. There is a lot of different wide receiver options. Jalen Hurts is going to be a stud. You just gotta surround him with talent, like we've been talking about, dude.
I know. Well, here's the thing, and this is interesting. I think I brought it up with you briefly off air or maybe on air. I can't remember. My Eagles conversations are fucking blurred at this point. But like they have said over and over and over and over again, yeah, we're gonna get playmakers. We're gonna get playmakers for Carson Wentz. We're gonna get playmakers for Carson Wentz. We're gonna get playmakers for Carson Wentz. Yeah, we're gonna get playmakers for Jalen Hurts. They better get fucking playmakers for this guy. I swear to you, they better get playmakers for Jalen Hurts because it is like and this is in. I'm speaking for all Philadelphia Eagles fans. It's like we are so tired of hearing that. It is empty words at this point. They need to just go ahead and do it. We don't want to hear it. We need to see them do it. Like, I don't want to see JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Like, he should be off the team. It should be Fulgham. Like, I don't even know why he's still here. But, like, go ahead. If they have the cap space, go get Kenny Golladay. Go ahead and get Kenny Golladay. Like, go do it. Or draft Jamar Chase. Like, just like I don't want to hear. I want to see action. I don't want to see words anymore. And I'm sure you know how I feel because you're a Jets and a fucking Cardinals fan, and dude, you've been in the doghouse. Like the Cardinals just started to get better and they're progressing.
Jets are still in the doghouse. Jets have been in the doghouse as long as I've known any team. So
the Jets hoist like all of the trophies for like the longest rebuild in
and then here's the thing, and then this last season for 75% of the season, here we are like losing every game, and we're like, okay, at least we're getting Trevor Lawrence, and see what happened. We all of a sudden started winning 1 or 2 games right there, and then we lost out on that too. So I mean, it's an ongoing process, and I totally get it. But as we were talking about, like you were talking about yesterday, Howie Roseman is not a dumb guy. He's a smart man, and he's been making a lot of those.
Wait a minute. I never said that. This
is my opinion. I think he's a smart man. He's been doing this for a long time, and I'm talking about it as an outsider. He's very crafty and he's good at what he does. And just like what you were saying, he went out of his way to restructure these guys. I'm sure they've been talking about it for months, but I'm sure he has his plans to cut down on the cap deficiency and whatnot like that. I mean, anything is possible, honestly. They can go out there, Eagles can go out there and just do what you call like those like signing option bonus structure, like using those void years and all that to be creative and kind of keep the cap numbers down to sign one of these top guys. Carson Wentz's contract is designed like that, like where they were able to keep the first few years of his contract down, using a lot of those weird dummy bonuses and structures and weird stuff like that.
That's exactly what he's done, but that's the thing. It pushes everything back towards the end. And big play Slay, they've never done it. They acknowledge it, but it never actually legitimately happens. God fucking damn. Yeah, no. See, the frustration's coming out.
No, I get it. But here's the thing. So Eagles can still go out there and get one of the top guys. There are like receivers like Corey Davis, like Curtis Samuel, like Kenny Golladay. They're going to cost you $10 million a year. And that's a base point. They could cost even more in like the open market. But they have to shoot for stars in in the market like this, they have to surround Jalen Hurts with weapons.
They have to, dude. But here's the thing, and this is exactly goes into what Big Play Slay is saying now. And King, by the way, is talking trash to you, Patrick. So if you want to respond, you can. Patrick, you can only pick one team, man. Shaking my head. I can defend you, but if you wanna, but let me hold on. Howie Roseman, Big Play Slay says Howie Roseman is not a smart man. He overpays and overspends, and that's kind of what we're talking about. Is the dummy years that he pushes back. Look. Howie is great at if he's great at one thing, it's this. And it's exactly what he's doing right now, which is like restructuring Javon Hargrave, restructuring Darius Slay. He's good at getting us money when we need to get money. But the thing is, dude, he's making the decisions on the 53-man roster. So we're talking about going out and getting playmakers for Jalen Hurts. And like, we're absolutely terrified. You and I have talked about this on end. I've brought it up in previous streams. It's like, dude, if they take fucking Tylan Wallace at 6 and not Jamar Chase, like, I'm going to lose my fucking lid.
Yeah, we were talking about this. Yeah, that's what you just can't miss with that top pick. You just can't.
You can if you're Howie Roseman. I actually want to talk about this because you can if you're Howie Roseman, but I do want to talk about this for a hot second. Jalen Waddle. I want to jump to Jalen Waddle real quick. And the last wide receiver from Oklahoma that Jalen Hurts threw to was Jalen Waddle. He didn't play. He played with Devontae Smith, but Jalen Waddle played significantly with Jalen Hurts during his time at Oklahoma. So I think that is something to definitely notate and think about as we're talking about the 6th pick, because we went to broad lengths yesterday about Jalen Waddle. And so, that might be one of those things where it could be a home run pick. But if Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts are off the board, but Devontae Smith is still there, it's going to be a tough tug of war. But go ahead and respond to King Miro about you having 2 teams, because I want to hear this. Go ahead.
No, I grew up in Brooklyn, so I've been a lifelong Jets fan, and then when I came over to Arizona in high school, it's just one of those things. You watch your local team because they're on all the time. They're not restricted to blackout rules or anything like that. So you watch a lot of the Cardinals, and I think there were a lot of sympathy points for both teams. They both suck. So that's what it was. They both stunk. I went to a lot of Cardinals games, and then so I didn't feel bad as much because I was like, Jets play for the AFC. The Cardinals are in the NFC. I'm just going to root for the hometown team and the team I've always grew up loving. So it is what it is. If I had to pick one, I'm always going to be a Jets fan first and foremost. But I do cheer on for the Cardinals. My dream is the Jets and the Cardinals Super Bowl. But that's never going to happen.
Well, when that happens, so Dak King says, "LOL, pick one now." And then at least you're not a bandwagon, guys. Okay, so just in defense of my good buddy Patrick J, I kind of give him shit from time to time, but his explanation is exactly what I was gonna give you guys. They both do suck, and he was born in Brooklyn, and we do live in Arizona, so yeah, there's that. But I am curious. I hope that day comes, Patrick, because I am going to give you shit on that day as to which team you need to pick for winning that Super Bowl. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, man, here's the thing.
We can't meet like midway across the country and be like, I don't have to pick.
Of course not. It's like same thing. I'm a huge Phoenix Suns fan now. I'm a huge Arizona Diamondbacks fan now. I migrated over here, but the Jets are just one of those teams that I just cannot let go, man. They just I want them to be so good,
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Sure. I totally.
I see that comment. That's funny.
Totally get it. Totally get it, buddy. Big place says it. Yikes! A Jets fan. Oh my, your life sucks, doesn't it? And you're a Cardinals fan. Other than the future, what have you been happy about?
No, here's the thing, my dude. It sucks. It really sucks. And then the fan base dwindling. There's no one to talk Jets football with. And no, I mean, every time I mention that I'm a Jets fan, people laugh. That's just a reality of how it goes here.
I mean, he did just get back from vacation, big play Slay. So
it's okay. It's honest talk, man. It's honest talk. I mean, if here's the thing, let me finish off on the Jalen Waddle talk though. I mean, he's an explosive playmaker, man. He's fast. We talked about it. He's super quick. He's a deep threat guy. He can really stretch a defense vertically. But we talked about it. He's undersized. He's short. He's 5'10", and he's we'll see if he can hold up in NFL. Obviously, he got a lot of playing time amongst a lot of good players out there. He played with Judy, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith. So, I mean, he comes from a good program. So, I mean, I think he's worth a shot to take a number 6. But, I mean, like we were talking about, if Kyle Pitts is available there, you take him. If one of the tackles are available, you take them. I mean, if Penei Sewell or Kyle Pitts is there, I mean, that's a home run pick for you guys. But, I mean, Jalen Waddle, I mean, he definitely has that, like, Tyreek Hill abilities. But, you know, there – with any undersized guy like that, I mean, always comes a question. So,
I mean, he's not terribly undersized. I mean, he's 5'10", 185. I mean, he's for his height. I mean, he's decently built. It's like Jalen Reagor with the speed, with all the speed, in my opinion. So it's like an upgrade over Jalen Reagor were they to take Jalen Waddle. It'd be kind of funny. They'd be taking 3 Jalens in the course of 2 years.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. Hi, Roseman's got a new fetish. It's the first name Jalen. No. So given that, I want to jump back to the Chiefs real quick. Now, obviously, the Eagles have some offensive linemen who are on the trade block. Given that Andy Reid has okayed the release of Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, and obviously they're not bringing back their starting center. We have Andre Dillard on the trade block, and Brandon Brooks has officially been reported as on the trade block. Do you see one of these guys moving to possibly Kansas City?
Yeah, there was actually a report from Yahoo Sports, I think. I forgot who it was from, but I think it was from Adam Herman this morning. He actually talked about Andre Dillard being a good fit for the Chiefs. So I memean, there's that. I mean, there's that could be a perfect fit for him. I mean, he is a disappointing first round pick for you guys, and who knows? I mean, he just might need a new change of scenery to go out there and be he still has a potential to be the left tackle of the future for some teams. So I mean, maybe going to an established team like that with a lot of veterans around him. Not that Lane Johnson, Kelsey's not doing that. Some guys just need a trade partner. I mean, not trade partner, change of scenery. So I mean, that might be a good option for him to go there. That's definitely one spot that I see. I mean, we spoke about the Cardinals too. The Cardinals were the local radio were talking about Andre Dillard coming over to the Cardinals. They do have spot at right tackle. They do have DJ Humphries locked up on left, but they do need a tackle on the right side with Beachum being a free agent this year too. So I mean, that's another option. So I mean, there are different scenarios that I see, but I mean, Kansas City definitely is an option now with these 2 moves.
Yeah, no, and I asked you that just because I think that is a good thing. The one thing about Andre Dillard is that he at the NFL level, he just seems like he would be a better guard. And I think that that's one of the things that people are holding on to, that he can come back healthy and maybe we can try him out at guard. But it's like, Jordan Mailata showed so much promise and such a high ceiling, and he progressed so much, especially the fact that he's a former rugby player, had no knowledge of the game and sport, and just, you're right. A change of scenery would be a good thing for him. And so maybe if we can get like a 4th or a 5th or something like that out of it, I don't see the negative side effects in that. But I want to answer this one question. Big Play Slay asked me, if we were to fire Howard Roseman, who's the GM I would want for, and for him personally, it'd be Ed Dudes, assistant GM of the Colts, or Louis Riddick.
Yeah. I
And
totally agree with those two names. You
I
speak.
do too. I do too. One, just dude. Obviously, him being kind of the understudy of Chris Ballard. I absolutely love everything that Ballard does. Indianapolis. So my hope is he would bring over that sort of philosophy and would have the familiarization with Nick Sirianni, Jonathan Gannon. So it would cut ties of the possibility of any segregation going on. Which is what we have a ton of in the Philadelphia Eagles organization right now. Louis Riddick, I talked about this a couple months ago. Like I love the fact that Louis Riddick just absolutely ridiculed and trashed Howie Roseman in that Week 17 game against the Washington football team. I absolutely loved it because I thought that Louis Riddick was pretty much inadvertently campaigning for a job, and I wanted to bring Louis Riddick back. So he's another one of those guys. So either or, honestly, to answer your question, big play, Slay. Either or, but honestly, if I had to choose one, it would definitely be Ed Dutz, just because of the familiarization with Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon, and I think that would be greener pastures, and it would be right in line with the something new that it seems that Jeffrey Lurie is trying to build here in Philadelphia. What do you think, Patty? What do you think of my selection?
No, I absolutely agree with those picks. And then, like what Big Play Slay said, Louis Riddick not being a GM or being involved in some kind of NFL front office is an absolute bonkers. He's one of the most brilliant minds out there. This guy belongs in the front office. This guy can build a football team from ground up, and he definitely deserves a job. And I sincerely hope that he does, because I think he's going to show everyone up. He definitely deserves.
He was a personnel guy for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, he had a stint with the Eagles, and I think he also worked with Washington too. So I mean, he's definitely has that experience. But and going back to Ed Dodds too, I mean, he's just one of those guys, man. He's done it over the years. He's a Colts assistant GM. He's had successful runs with them. He was part of the Seattle staff too when they went that Super Bowl run. So I think it's his turn. He definitely deserves that shot at it too. Colts are a very well-run organization, and him having a background in the Seahawks and the Colts organization is definitely going to help. And like you said, having the familiarity with the coach is also going to help. The other two names I personally liked, I'm going to throw in Brandon Hunt, who's a Steelers pro scouting coordinator.
It's another good one.
Very instrumental in what they do. And again, another class organization that's consistently puts winning team on and off the field, and a lot has to do with their scouting department. So Brendan Hunt is another name to look out for. Another guy, Will McClay, is a Cowboys vice president of player personnel. He has a lot of decisions he makes. I know, but he's a guy. If you pluck a guy. Here's the thing: if you can pluck a guy like that, a brilliant mind, off of your opposing team, I mean, that's another gain to you and a loss for them. So, I mean, I'm just saying he does have a lot of history of putting out good selections for the Cowboys. So, I think he's another name to look at. So, but I mean, the top two guys clearly are the ones that you guys already mentioned, which is Dodds and Louis Riddick.
Yeah, no, and but I agree with you. I was just kidding, but I do agree with you about Hunt and as well. Just because I love everything that they've been doing. I love everything that they've been doing in Pittsburgh regarding just the way that they're able to draft playmakers. The defenders that they're able to find as well. I mean, talking about it, like Cameron Sutton is the guy that I'm excited about, who's hitting free agency, like cornerback Cameron Sutton. Juju Smith-Schuster is another guy. They just seem to be able to continue to find guys in the draft, and it's just so. But I do want to talk about this though for a second. Howie Roseman. What would get Howie Roseman fired? What would get Howie Roseman fired? Now, Patrick, you and I touched on this briefly yesterday, and it is kind of we cannot avoid the fact that Jeffrey Lurie he's coming out, bro. He's coming out and he's saying a bunch of stuff. And and it's kind of going against the wishes of Mr. Roseman himself, the GM, because like I said yesterday, like High Roseman wanted to bring in competition. Jeffrey Lurie just said no, pretty much. But look, High Roseman is a stubborn son of a gun. And if that dude fucking goes against Jeffrey Lurie's wishes with the 6th pick in the draft, I wouldn't put it past him, Patrick. I really wouldn't. I would not put him past it. Put it past him. I could see him get. I could see this being the last year for High Roseman, or him getting fired soon. But then again,
yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like
I know. I mean,
life in the world, but I think I mentioned this article to you about a month ago, but it's by Ruben Frank on NBC Sports. He put out an article. I think it's called "Understanding Why Lurie Might Never Fire Roseman." It's a really good read. It kind of goes into like basically what just general surface level about their relationship and how trusted Howie Roseman is by Jeffrey Lurie. So I mean, it's hard, man. He has to be on a hot seat at this point, but you just never know. You just never know at this point.
Yeah. And Slay says you need a well-run organization with a general manager who takes the right shot when available, and they also understand trading down, getting more compensation when a player is falling in the draft. Yeah, no, and Patrick, I'm sure you agree with this. Like, I agree with all of that. The thing is, this is how he has been good at trading down and acquiring more picks, but he's horrible at knowing what to do with those picks. And Big Play Slay, just to respond to this, don't even know how I found this channel. Well, I'm glad that you found it, man. Welcome, welcome aboard. All right. Yeah, no, I honestly like Howie is so in his own little world. The YouTuber Patrick that I referenced earlier, Philly 500, I absolutely love it because he referenced a little bit of pop culture, and he said it's Howie's vision.
Howie's vision.
Howie's vision. It's like his own little fucking world. I love Philly 500. But like obviously WandaVision, you get it. I don't need to explain.
Great show. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't tuned in yet.
Hey man, you know, I've read every Marvel comic out there, and I was no spoilers, man, but I was wrong. They fooled me multiple times in the whole show. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. We can talk about that. But here, I want to go ahead and wrap this up. Big Play Slay, welcome to the channel, my man. Patrick J and I are going to be doing some stuff all week and probably later in the weekend, and we're definitely going to be hitting up these free agent prospects for sure, and we're going to go into a little bit more depth on some of them. We did do a little bit of talking about Shaquille Griffin today, and I'm really excited about that one. Cameron Sutton, Joe Thuney, and then talk a little bit about the draft this weekend. What do you think about that, Patrick?
Let's do it. I mean, I'm still excited. I mean, draft's coming up, and I think we should tackle the free agents a little bit more, free agent targets for you guys. There's a lot of names out there for positional needs, like I said. So, I mean, we just saw Ingram going to Houston Texans for $3 million. So, I mean, it's
insane.
Yeah. It's gonna start rolling.
That is insane. And we'll definitely talk more about that one, what that can bring to the Houston Texans moving forward. But hey, guys, this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles, live here with Patrick J. You all have a beautiful, safe, and healthy Thursday. Please, if you guys would like to show your love and support, go to streamlabs.com/DB Talking Now/tip. And if you'd like to check out the merch store, go to streamlabs.com/dbtalkingnow/merch. There's quite a few stuff on there, but I'm going to be adding some stuff soon. So, but yeah, you guys have a beautiful day. Thank you for tuning in. Great conversation, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, one love, and go Birds, baby.